As a kid, I grew up in a Lutheran church. My dad was Catholic, my mom was Lutheran. We were baptized as babies, and we went through the communion process in junior high. I I always had a hard time believing what I was hearing, and I think when I got to high school, I saw the hypocrisy in a lot of the Christians that I was familiar with. I really didn't like hypocrisy, and so I thought I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be a hypocrite, so I started straying away from Christ. Through my 20s, I considered myself agnostic, and I knew there was something more, but I didn't really know what it was, or believe that it was, the Son of God. In my 30s, I had just moved back from New York City, where I was living with my ex-husband now, and we were in the middle of separating, and I had started a business here, and the business was sustaining itself, but it wasn't taking care of myself and my daughter financially. I was having a hard time. I was struggling with paying my bills. I was struggling with keeping my daughter in her private school that she loved. I had, through this time, become closer friends with somebody that I had already known, and I started hanging out with her in the evenings and going and sitting on her porch in the summer, and we would talk, about our problems, and she would give me advice and vice versa. And she would, speak of Christ here and there. I was really against it for the most part, so I think that she really, watched what she was doing and kind of walked on eggshells, with me with that. One of the nights she asked me if she could pray for me, and I had never had experienced that before. I'd never had anyone pray for me personally. I've, growing up in a Lutheran church, we've prayed, but it wasn't anything specific for specific people over them. And so when she asked me, I was very hesitant, and I remember feeling really nervous and not knowing like how I was supposed to stand. Even while she was praying, and I can't even remember the words that she was using, there were so many thoughts going through my head about, this being weird, but kind of liking it at the same time. And then after that, I went home and went to bed and carried on. Well, I would continue to go over and hang out with her, and I started anticipating the prayer. I started really wanting her to pray for me. I started feeling the need for it. Within the next couple of months, I would say, I was still going through the same problems. I was still having money issues. I was still going through the separation of my marriage, and I was laying on the couch one night, and I was crying, and I was crying over the same thing that I've been crying over the week before and crying over the week before that. My money issues, my business, my failed marriage, and I don't know what came over me. I don't know why I did it to this day, but all of a sudden I just yelled out, "If you want it, take it. It's yours. If you want my life, if you can do better, you take it, you have it." And I gave my life over to Christ that night. And I would say that some stories you hear, and you hear like, the minute I gave it over, this changed, everything, changed around for the better. And that wasn't really how it happened for me. It was a process. My business didn't turn into a gold mine. My marriage didn't come back into, the best marriage ever. I was starting a process with Christ. I was starting my journey. Started reading the Bible, which I had never done before, and I really started understanding it. I started seeing the logic of it, and seeing, what it was for, besides just a book of rules of what I've always thought it was. There was logic to living a purposeful and happy life, and I started understanding that and seeing that. Once I gave my life over, I started slowly losing any bitterness I had towards really anyone in my life. I started getting this spirit of hope and the spirit of forgiveness, and I saw what I was being forgiven for, and so it was turning me into more of a forgiver.